explore the edges of belief, cryptids, legends, paranormal anomalies, and supernatural claims. All right here with Home on the Strange with your host, Ashley Rain. Here's Ashley.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of Home on the Strange with me, your host, Ashley Range. Hi, guys. I know it's been a minute since I've had an episode, and if you're tuning in live now for the first airing, or you're joining us later down the road on YouTube or podcast or whatever you're getting this from, just a big thank you from me for being here, for joining us. I am so excited for this episode, and don't even know where to start, guys. This one is one that I've been looking forward to a very long time. And again, if you're joining us, I think we're going to have a real fun time with this. I am super stoked for tonight's guest. You know him. He is a total powerhouse when it comes to social media, content creator, and just an all-around awesome social media personality. Mr. Peet Montzingo is actually here to join us and talk about his experiences with the Cecil Hotel. How we got Pete and the fact that he's here joining us on the show to talk about his experience is still so mind-blowing to me. So make sure to show him some love in the comments, and join us for what should be a really fun conversation tonight. Very, very excited about this. So guys, without further ado, let's just bring Pete in and jump in this conversation, because this has been one that's been in the works now for a few months, and I just could not be any more excited. So you guys know the drill. I can't intro to save my life. So let's just start the fun and bring Pete in and get right into it. So here we go. Let's bring Pete in, and we're going to talk all things spooky, Cecil Hotel. Here we go.
Hello.
Yeah. Hey, Pete. I told you it's pretty bad.
It's better than me, honestly. I'm the worst at intros too, so we got to stick together.
I try, and I say this every seriously, it could be a drinking game at this point. I plan them, I script them, I practice them in the mirror, and then we go live, and it's just bleh.
Yep.
The real magic happens when I'm talking to the guest. I can interact, and then all of a sudden everything else kind of disappears, and it's like, oh, okay. Now we're just having a conversation. We're just having fun. And I think that's really where the magic happens. Mm-hmm. So, hi, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, I'm so excited. I haven't talked about the Cecil for a hot minute. I actually moved. Like, that's not the Cecil. So,
I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, it does follow me, though, I swear, with like paranormal stuff. And I couldn't let go of that apartment building because it's now my office, because I got to always keep, tabs on the place.
For sure. Well, that's actually a really great segue. So I know most of this information is available on your YouTube channel, and you're quite open about speaking amongst your many fun experiences, but this specifically, there was several videos that really stood out to me. And I think it was about 4 years ago, correct me if I'm wrong, was your first upload about the Cecil. You had just moved in, and you mentioned that you had no idea of its reputation or history. So let's just dive into that. So you moved to the area. Did you at least have any understanding of Skid Row and that reputation? And how did you end up at the Cecil?
So basically, I was living somewhere else before that, and I got evicted because we threw a raging party. And I was like, all right, YOLO, like, this is great, but like, oops, now I'm homeless. So I was crashing on friends' houses or in friends' houses and apartments and couches and stuff. And then there was a moment like where I was like sleeping in my car because I'm like, okay, I need to like get my shit together. And I'm not going to ask my parents for
Homeless
money.
Cecil Hotel. Homeless Cecil Hotel. No,
I mean,
sorry.
honestly, like if I could go back, no. um, oh my God, don't get me started with that though, because the people, okay, I'm already jumping around. I'm so excited. But basically, basically, yeah, I moved in there because it was the only place I could afford. And it was in Skid Row. And I kind of knew of Skid Row, but I thought that downtown LA, like it's always been kind of a bad place. But A, I couldn't afford anything else. And B, I'm like, well, it's on the come up now. So I just thought it would be like fine. And when I had my housewarming party, because I didn't learn my lesson, I had my friends were like, why would you move to this place? And I'm like, well, no, it's a cool, like awesome studio loft. Like I sleep up there in like a little cubby and like it's so creative and I'm like colored all the walls and concrete, everything. And they're like, no, we're not talking about that. We're talking about what's out your window. And I have 4 giant windows facing exactly to the Cecil Hotel. Like, I mean, it's closer than it looks like even in the videos, like in person. Like you feel like you're right up in that energy. And I'd always felt before my housewarming party that I could never walk on the other side of the street where the Cecil Hotel was, because I just felt weird with it. Like it just what didn't feel good. And so that was my first like indication, but I still didn't know. I didn't look it up. But after my friend said something, I went down the rabbit hole, and I have always been into like paranormal, spooky, conspiracy, like all the weird stuff.
You're in the
And
right spot.
I know, I'm like, yes, my people. So it just felt like, I don't know, it felt exciting to me. And then I started making content about it eventually. And that was right before the Netflix documentary came out. And so the fact that the Netflix documentary came out, like right when I started posting about it, was like almost meant to
Very
be.
serendipitous.
I
Synchronicity,
know.
for sure.
I know, but it also felt like I was getting possessed or something because it was like too perfect. You know, I'm like, oh, they want me to tell the story, or they like, you know, I don't know. I got really in my head about it at first because of, you know, the things that I would like see and feel and hear and stuff. And it was wild.
Wow. So, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I try to do my research as best as I can with every guest, whether they have content freely available, whether they send me stuff to review beforehand. But I think in one of the videos you mentioned, not explicitly, but almost, that the Cecil Hotel really kind of helped launch your social media platform, your career, if you will, because
Mm.
you were so invested in it and documenting it and putting it out there. Would you say that's true? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, I would say for sure. It helped me like pivot away from a lot of family content, and people started to get to understand who I am a little bit more, which I like to always say that I feel like I have some talents and I have some things to say, and it's not, you know, all about like dwarfism all the time for me, even though it is, you know, because if you're watching and you don't know who I am, my whole family are little people except for me. And so I started posting a lot of content about that. But like the other side of my heart is paranormal, spooky, like all that stuff for sure.
Spooky ooky, you're in the right place, sir. This is wonderful.
Yes.
And to be fair, your content, and like I said, you're a model, you're an actor, you're an author. Soon, is it published yet? Is the book published yet? I can't recall.
My first one is Little Imperfections. My second one is my second one is Noah and the Never Pretenders, and that's going to also be like a cartoon animated series alongside of the book release.
That's so sweet. But to my point, you're a very authentic person, and it shows through with all of your content creation. And so the fact that you take such an interest in something like this, paranormal, Cecil Hotel specifically, like again, you are in such good company. I'm a very similar. I feel like I'm in a similar boat. You know, I have lots of hobbies and interests and things, and I can talk to anybody about pop culture or nerdy things or sciencey things or whatever. But when you have that passion, when you have that love for something so specific, it kind of does become a part of you. So I totally understand. I
And it
don't know if
draws
you
you
noticed.
in.
It does. It really does. And I don't know if you noticed I can never figure this out. Like, I also have my own obsession. So you're in a good spot. So
The Nessie lady?
the Nessie lady, yes. In fact, hold on. Every episode, it's the same thing.
Ooh, yes. Nice.
But that's but that's a different episode, a different conversation. Obviously, we're here for you, sir. And so, but no, seriously, I loved your videos because specifically about the Cecil, amongst all your other stuff that I love, all your other content. But the Cecil videos, they're a little bit older. I think the most recent one was about a year ago.
Oh my God, really?
I think.
I'm dropping the ball.
Well,
Yeah, that sounds about
well,
right.
you stayed on top of it for so long, and to kind of jump back into it with us again, it's such an honor. Thank you. But going back to the Cecil, kind of starting that that jumping point into content creation and kind of figuring it out. Was I correct in saying this was kind of you documenting that, or were you really in the hopes of trying to find something? Like, what was your initial goals with that?
I mean, all of the above, honestly. Like, first of all, I wanted to kind of like pivot my content a little bit into something that was more focused on like something deeper, I guess. I mean, not that the other content isn't deep in its own way. It's just something that, I don't know. It felt right to me. It feels like it's part of me. And it always has since I was a little kid. Like, I would always like search for like haunted bridges in Seattle. And then, like the Rainbow House that, like, I don't know if you remember that one, but that was the one where every night, like, it would turn rainbow. Like, I was always interested in just things that were unexplainable. And when I learned about the Cecil Hotel and I started like, making content about it, I mean, immediately I was like, okay, there's no one's in here right now. I gotta fly a drone into like any holes that I see, any windows that are open. Like, I was just like, this is my chance to prove to the world that the Cecil's either haunted or it's not. Like, everyone had all these speculations with all of the stories, So I'm like, if I can get to the bottom of it. And I felt like I did a lot of great research on it. And I feel like I did a lot of live streams as well. And I would call them like sleepover. Come have a sleepover with me and we'll like ghost hunt together. So other people were seeing things. I was seeing things. Made me feel less crazy. And then people started moving in. They started making it a homeless shelter and low income housing. And at that point, I'm like, I can't really like record people. That's like weird,
Yeah, I get that. Well, and so forgive me, because if I look off screen, I do have notes and things here that I do want to jump into, because you nailed a couple of things right on the head. And I do want to acknowledge and applaud you as you watch the content that you made throughout, was that several years ago, whatever, it's about the Cecil. You are so passionate and knowledgeable about it, and the way you're just pulling out facts and things, like, again, that passion and that authenticity really shows through. So I think that's absolutely wonderful. I mean, let's see, we got it. What did I write down here? Can't read my own handwriting. Isn't that terrible? Opened December 20th, 1924. And if I'm understanding correctly, 700 rooms.
Yep.
And although there was an attempted glow up in 2011 with the rebrand of Stay on Main, if I'm getting that correctly, it's never really lost the magnitude. And maybe that's too big of a word, but the Cecil just refuses to be anything less. Right? It refuses to be anything less. I mean, right off the rip, the first recorded tragedy, I believe, was in 1931 with the recorded suicide of a Mr. W.K. Norton. And I'd like to just throw out there, first recorded. We don't know. I'm sure there was some spooky things happening even before that. But
yeah.
But just doing the math from 1924 to, what did I just say, 1931, even like that's not a huge jump in time. And to just right off the bat, and you have the horrific, brutal murder of a Miss Pigeon Goldie Osgood in 1964. We still unexplained, as far as what happened to her specifically, or I guess more specifically as to why. Do we even have to talk about Richard Ramirez, Mr. Night Stalker in the 80s? Little known fact, he had a copycat killer, or an attempted copycat killer in the early 90s. And I might be getting this name wrong, but a Mr. Jack Unterweger. I think I'm saying that correctly. Say that again. The
author from Australia, Jack Unterweger.
Yes.
I think that's how you pronounce it.
In the 90s, and of course, probably the most infamous, and in my personal opinion, most tragic, Miss Elisa Lam in 2013. And these are just the greatest hits. This is not even the tip of the iceberg of all the strangeness. So when you think of all of that sorrow and sadness and heaviness, Pete, tell me, do you think a place and a location can be evil? Or do you think it's some kind of energy that attracts energy, that traps that kind of energy? That is it feeding off of it? What in your personal opinion makes the Cecil in this very specific dark way?
I think, it's hard to, it's weird to think about, because a lot of people will say it's a portal to hell. A lot of people will be like, it's because of the tunnels underneath, LA. Other people will be like, oh, it's just bad, a bad area. Luckily and unluckily, I, was there for a long time. So I really felt like I got a good understanding of the vibe. And 2011 isn't that far back. And if anything, pre-COVID, it was better in that area in 2011 than it was in 2021. So because when COVID happened, they like shut down so many places downtown, and it just got like a zoo. Like it's just like crazy. So I feel like maybe it's a mixture of energy and place. It's hard for me to just say place, because the building that I was living in across the street is actually older than the Cecil Hotel. And there are like hauntings in that building too, but they aren't, menacing. They aren't like weird and creepy in the way that,
the energy's not as wildly off.
Yeah, exactly. And I've thought about this so many times, because part of me also feels like it's maybe not like on purpose, but the fact that the building has, never really put in cameras, or they haven't had the right security that needs to be there. The fact that they don't call, the police when they need to, like all these weird things, to where it just makes me think like, okay, maybe part of it's energy, part of it's like owner, part of it's like building, but yeah, that's a good question, because I've never understood why it all happened there when there are other hotels around in the area too. And Skid Row, but Skid Row starts there. Like Skid Row is miles. And what of Skid Row and what everyone sees of Skid Row is like at least 5 blocks further. So the fact that it was all happening in that building, basically on the border of like safe zone, and there are more hotels like in Skid Row proper, it's just weird it was all in that building, It's just a lot of weird stuff.
Oh, for sure. And I didn't get around to it, or else it would be on the screen now, but I'd be fascinated to find out if some people believe in ley lines, some people don't. I would like to see if there was any kind of correlation to ley lines or geographic faults or sinkholes or whatever, because I do think that our world, our literal earth, does put off energy and can channel certain things as well. So, your guess is just as good as mine. There is no wrong or right answer until definitively proven. And I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But it's a very good point that you make, and one that I hold as well. It's just what I shouldn't say point, but rather question is, why specifically the Cecil? Because the point you brought up that
Right.
was all these other older places, yes, they have their own supposed activity or maybe their own famous stories, but it really just that concentration there. But also, always playing devil's advocate here, is it any more than, say, Joe Blow's hotel down the street, or are we all just looking and expecting it from the Cecil? And I don't have a dog in that fight. I think from everything that I've known and the few people that I've known who've been in that area, kind of like what you said at the beginning of the conversation, just not even being in the building, but just in proximity to the building, you can kind of feel that energy. And what I think is so fascinating for you specifically is you didn't set out to go find the Cecil. You didn't set out to be
It found
a content
me.
creator. It found you. And
That's
and
creepy.
it is well, yes, it is creepy, but also, like that's very telling that there's kind of just something there. And you joked a little bit earlier about like maybe it wanted you to speak on its behalf, and I feel like I feel like you're doing that, and you're doing a very very well job of it, and not making it a mockery. That's the important thing. I think we can all have fun and make jokes and to a certain extent make light of certain things, of course, but treating it with just enough respect. Like what we often like to say on the Untold network is, we take the subject matter seriously, but not ourselves. So it's kind of that balance. So I got to ask then,
Right.
what does your mother think of all the spooky content? Did she ever come and do a house visit when you were living across the street from the Cecil?
Oh yeah, she was there a bunch, and she kind of said what I was saying earlier of like, wow, it's so much bigger than, when you sent me pictures or, things like that. I mean, I think it just feels bigger because I think of the energy. Like it feels massive, like a big dark cloud in front of your face. And like,
I was gonna say, does it have big brick energy?
big brick energy. Yes. Good one.
Sorry.
But see, my mom lucked. It's amazing. My mom lucked out because she's too short to like look out the window. So, she's right at the rail. So I think she dodges, some of the energy.
And I think too, you have such a positive family. Not that I know them personally. I don't even know you personally, but do you think that positiveness, that genuine positiveness, and it's like, oh yes, I myself am so positive, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I'm just saying, you guys do have this kind of positive energy. Do you think maybe that serves as some kind of protection or shield? Do you think?
I think so. I mean, I've noticed that the more I lean into like my ghosty things, like at one point I ghosty things. At one point I was so invested in this, and I actually like made a lot of my content about it, just paranormal in general, for like almost a year. And I've traveled all across the country and went to like a bunch of different insane asylums and different like, haunted places and ghost towns and abandoned this and that. And the more I leaned into it, the more I would start noticing how it would affect me. Like I would go home and like the hard drive is corrupt, or like I am, I just get into bed and then I hear somebody whispering my name like in my ear. Like there's a time there's water bottle half full in the apartment that just like shot across to the other side of the room, and like none of the windows were open, like the fan wasn't blowing, like. And I noticed that like that's when it starts affecting me, and it starts making me tripped out, and then maybe it'll affect, the positivity or something. But I think the more I'm grounded in what I believe, and the more I walk the line of not fully immersing myself in it, but kind of, it's like
Yes.
right over there. But like, hey, what's up? Like that vibe for me is probably like the sweet spot, because I would just kind of noticing how it would affect me. That's a good question.
Well, again, you're in great company. I feel very similar. I have an interest in these things, clearly. I'm doing this whole thing. An interest and a fascination. I've said this on other episodes and other shows. It's like, it started young and it developed. And while I was an absolute fearful child, I mean, slept with a nightlight way too late in life. And I will not tell you how old I was when I finally gave up on the
Literally until
nightlight.
Cecil days. Like the Cecil.
Well, you have a good
ruined me.
excuse. You have a very good excuse. But but never losing that interest in things. And my opinions have changed so dramatically. If you were to have asked me my opinion on something like the Cecil, say, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15, 20, whatever, completely different than I hold now. I hold certain beliefs and faiths that kind of help keep myself in check and balance, because I think these things deserve to be talked about. They deserve to be explored. A conversation does not equal endorsement. You can talk about things and again, until proven definitively right or wrong, there is nothing wrong with having a healthy conversation. I think with genuine curiosity and hopefully a little bit of kindness and understanding, I feel like talking about things kind of takes away the sting or the fear of these things, and you can kind of get more into the enjoyment aspect of it. Like I've said this before, I will listen to ghost stories all day long. You have an EVP? I will listen to it. I will tell you what I think it said or not said. Will you catch me in an abandoned asylum recording one? Heck to the no. That is
famous
a
last words. I thought that too. Good luck. Oh God.
Hey, if you invited me to do an in-person collab, I would reconsider. That's not a guarantee. That's I would think about it. Only if you join me in Scotland for a Nessie expedition. Deal?
Deal.
Okay.
So
okay. So just kind of going over my notes here again, and we've kind of already organically covered so much, but a couple of we kind of went out of order, so they're going to feel a little bit shoehorned, and I apologize. But have you heard or seen or had any understanding of that? What year did that come out? That movie Dark Water with Jennifer Connelly. Gosh, when did that come out? It was like the 2010s, I think. And the coincidental storyline of it lining up. I don't think it explicitly calls it the Cecil Hotel, and I don't even think it necessarily deliberately took inspiration from the Cecil Hotel. But the parallels are very striking. And then, of course, you can't talk about the Cecil Hotel without Elisa Lam. And those kind of similarities, life imitating art, imitating life, and so forth. Any thoughts or comments on that? And no is a full and valid sentence. These are not trick questions. It's like you could tell me you've never seen or even heard of the movie, and that's fine. It's one of my favorites.
No, I definitely like have went through that. Like I did my own research, all that. Yeah, I find like there are just so many weird parallels. Maybe this is part of the energy, or maybe this is part of, I don't know, something. But there are a lot of things like that, like the two serial killers, in the same place. Yeah, I feel like maybe there's some like draw there. I don't think that maybe it was reflected on what happened, or it was like, foreshadowing it. But I think maybe in a weird deja vu way, it was like, almost like it was gonna happen, and then because it's the Cecil and the energy, then it just came to fruition, kind of a thing. I also, that reminds me of, do you know about when Elisa Lam was found? There was a tuberculosis outbreak in the area. Do you know about this?
I had heard about it being talked about, but I didn't know it was a definitive fact.
Yes. So in a mile radius of around where the Cecil was, there was an outbreak. So everyone they had to make sure that they did a test. Do you know what the name of the test was called?
Yeah. Yes. Lamb.
Lamb Elisa.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
And there's never been an outbreak after that. Like, and it was the week that her body was found. Like, I think that reminds me of Dark Water. Like, I feel like everything is like the energy's so palpable there that like it just, makes its ripples or something.
I agree. I think not that you asked, but I think one of the weirdest slash funnest thoughts that I like to play with, and again, I'm not necessarily saying that I believe this full heartedly. I'm just saying it is kind of a fun rabbit hole to go down. But I like to imagine our thoughts as radio waves or microwaves or whatever, and our thoughts are actually our own. I think that it explains a lot of paranormal phenomena, whether it's clairvoyance or mind reading, or when you get that really good idea, and then you turn on the TV, and then like, hey, that's the book I was going to write, or that was the movie I was thinking of, and it's like, but how could it be so similar? Or when you think of somebody randomly and then they text you like a day later and you hadn't talked to them forever. I think
I can't think about my mom anymore because she literally will call me like 5 minutes after. So I have to like block her out of my head.
She's just like rocking a Professor X helmet and just
she's like,
but so whatever source, energy, power, whatever you want to call it at the Cecil, who's to say that it's not, and I said this earlier in the conversation, but like, is it feeding off this energy, or is it feeding that energy out to other people? Is it this transmitter?
Right. Wow. Yeah. I've never thought about that. I mean, I feel like it has to be transferring out. Like it has to.
I would agree. Surface level, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Just because of the way I can't believe I'm going to say this so like casually, but like take the tragic kind of historical suicides out of it. Because I feel like especially you're coming right out of the Great Depression, there was a lot going on there. I don't necessarily attribute that specifically to the Cecil. I think it adds to the bad energy, but I don't think necessarily that in a nutshell. But I think when you're attracting things like, or people like Richard Ramirez, and again, whatever was going on with poor Lisa Lam, God rest her soul, something is interfering, I think, with those people in some way, and maybe some people are more susceptible than others. I mean, again, like you pointed out for your own experiences, not even being inside the building, but being on the outside and feeling, and especially, I will note, and correct me if I'm wrong, not having that prior history in your head or subconscious or whatnot, to just be like, wow, this kind of feels strange. Maybe it was trying to reach you as well. So I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
I remember but this was a couple years ago, but I remember when the Cecil was really hot, and I was like, I have to be the first person to go into the Cecil. And this is right when my career started. And I was like, everyone else was going in there, Sam and Kobe, like, just everyone was just heading in there in the paranormal, YouTuber space. Not even that, but even Ghost Adventures. And
I was going to say, did you say hi to Zach and Aaron and the boys?
Yes. I screamed
No
from
way.
my window. Yeah. But that was fun. But I feel are you jealous?
Pete, why are we not like, can we just be friends, please? Can we just
Yes.
Okay. Please continue.
We have to do Ghost Adventures.
100%.
But so like I feel like I really wanted to be one of the first people in there, because I was like, that's my thing. Like I did it before it was cool, barely. And like, I finally got in. The joke was I was the last YouTuber to get into the Cecil. And so when I got in there, it was the same kind of feeling though. I was so excited. It was 4 a.m. witching hour. And it was so intense because I was so excited. And then I forgot to like even film going in and stuff because I was so giddy about it. And then when I hit the 9th floor is exactly when I felt the heaviness, and it just hit me. I was like, okay, something weird from here on. And then I asked the guards, different guards since then throughout time. I'm like, what's your experience? And they're like, yeah, when we do our rounds, pretty much all of them had said they don't go past floor 9 because it's not safe or it's not. And that's with people there now. So
Pretty
I'm
consistent.
yeah. So if before I was feeling weird and a lot of bad things happened above the 9th floor, then, you know, that energy could translate to now the people who live there. And so that's maybe why they're more like violent or aggressive. Like last time I was there, I was held at gunpoint, and that was on the 10th floor. So it just makes you wonder, like maybe they really are, I don't want to say like possessed, because I don't know if I really believe all that, but like maybe in a way they were possessed, you know, or like just feeling more like angry because of where they lived, you know, with that energy.
Did you ever speak to anybody or was in communication anybody who was, how do I say this, a part of the Cecil in any type of long-term or permanent way who never saw anything or didn't believe in it or kind of just, or do you feel like everybody who's comes in contact with it in any type of extended way is affected?
Every single person, every guard, every resident, and I got to be friends with some of the residents. I would say, I mean, you know, the paramedics are there like every day because people are like dying every week and no one talks about it. I've talked to paramedics, firefighters, police officers. They've all agreed that there's something going on in there that they can't put their finger on. So I just find that interesting because I'm kind of a skeptic, but I like totally can lean in, you know, but I feel like cops don't, you know, so when they say it or when guards say it, I'm like, wait, really?
It adds a layer of credibility. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Was there okay, I'm going to ask this question. I'm not asking you to share or reveal necessarily, but what I am asking, was there any piece of evidence or an experience that you did not put out there that you're just kind of keeping to yourself in when it comes to the Cecil?
I had always heard speculations of Richard Ramirez coming back to his apartment and washing off the blood in his room in the shower. And first of all, I guess part of that was he had asked them allegedly to raise the shower head. And second of all, I'm like, no, the Cecil, most of the rooms, it's like co-ed and it's like a college campus. Like there's bathrooms in the hallway. Like they don't even have their bathrooms. So when I was in there, I went to Rich Ramirez's room, as one does, and I looked, and he did have a bathroom, and not only that, but his shower was raised. So that was like chilling to me. The fact that I could almost visually see like where the blood was getting washed off. Like I could almost hear him going to the lobby being like, hey, can you raise the shower head? Because like, here I am looking at it, you know, it put a whole nother perspective on the story that like freaked me out.
Isn't it always horrifying when you think of historically socially agreed upon bad people just being people, like just the normalcy? I don't know why that freaks me out so much. Like somebody like Richard Ramirez, like, this shower head's annoying. I'm going to talk to maintenance and get this. It's weird.
It's so weird.
It is very weird, especially since we've over time have Hollywoodized or glamorized, or dare I say even romanticized this kind of thing where these once living people who did horrible things, you know, their legacy is so big, and it's just when you take a step back and you think this was a guy who lived in an apartment and just happened to do some really just awful things. It's crazy. And then we were talking about the Netflix documentary on the Cecil, and then of course they did that the Night Stalker series years down the road as well. I would even argue they reused some footage, but I'll keep that to myself. Please don't come at me, Netflix.
Wait, I have one other thing that I just remembered that's crazy that I've never said. my hair, like we're talking about how the energy finds you or like draws you in or whatever, and this kind of goes with that. I found out last year that like my hairdresser person for shoots and stuff, her dad was in prison and was um, cellmates at one point with Richard Ramirez. And when she would go, it's crazy. And when she would go and visit her dad, she Richard Ramirez, I guess, had like took a liking to her, and drew her, and she still has it to this day. Drew her a picture um, of I forgot what it was, but of something, and she's like, I mean, she has it to this day, and I've seen it, and I've begged her to like make content about this or like speak out and talk about it, but she's like, no, it's just way too layered for her
Yeah.
because but like that's crazy because first of all, what and second of all, like me, like it like found me again, which I just find is interesting. Like I wonder if I'm gonna be like more of a ghost hunter later in life or something,
It's a very small world. And yeah, I think there, I don't believe in coincidences. I really don't. Now, what it is, I can't tell you, but I can certainly tell you, in my personal opinion, only speaking for myself, no such thing as coincidences.
I can see that.
If you could have a definitive answer to any one of the Cecil's mysteries, which one and
Oh my God, that's such a good question. Okay. I hate to talk about the Lisa Lamb thing, especially because nobody really knows what happened. Like, it came out that she definitely did have bipolar. What's that?
it's again layered. It's a very layered situation with Lisa Lamb.
Right. I just still can't get over the fact that they traced her scent to like the 6th floor, and then they're like, she took the fire escape up. She opened the lid by herself somehow. She
to
didn't
the
have her
water
clothes
tank
on.
above.
Yes, all these like weird things. The fact that 2 weeks later, when they called off the investigation, the first day they called off the investigation because there was some other thing happening, 2 cops were there, and then that's when they decided to check the water tank. So like when there was little audience, the fact that nobody caught, like I live in a building lived in a building where there were so many people watching. Like it is so obvious if you see anyone climbing the fire tower or fire escape. Like if someone's climbing a fire escape, someone's going to call 911. Someone's going to, I mean, it looks dangerous. Like it's not okay. Like someone's going to call the hotel. Someone's going to do something. And then no one did anything. No one said anything. Like, like
And if I'm
there are
not
people who can even see.
If I'm not mistaken, and this is unfortunate, but please correct me if I'm wrong, but she had been in the water tower for quite some time, and therefore the logical conclusion is that contaminated water reached other tenants in the building as well.
True. So gross.
It's awful. It's awful on every level. I don't know, because can't believe everything you read on the internet, says Abraham Lincoln, 1992, right? I think that's what the meme says. But from what I understand, there's actually unreleased footage of Elisa Lam that the very horrifying, creepy, eerie, spooky, haunting video that we all kind of know collectively as a culture, supposedly
was cut.
Yeah, we do know that it was cut, but supposedly there's like in some vault or archive, never to see the light of day, is like the answer or the smoking gun or whatever you want to call it. Do you think that's true?
I hate to like say yes, but yes.
No, there's no wrong or right answer. And by all means, if I ask you something and you don't have an answer or you don't want to answer, just skip, pass. I'm nosy, not
no.
Not,
I love talking about
pushy.
it because no, I know, I appreciate that. No, but I like talking about it because it it makes me raise an eyebrow just to everything going on in the world point blank, because it's like all these things slipping through the cracks, like people not asking enough questions. Like, yeah, the camera footage, that's crazy to me. Like, why would they put it out online to ask for help, but then not put everything on? Like, if you went back a little bit further, you definitely would have seen something, like, or in
Or
between, like, why'd they
somebody
blur
might be able to have that missing puzzle piece. I mean, unless it's something just so awful, or the only reason I could see that being understandable is if it is something that would just be so hurtful to the family beyond what we already saw. And I would have respect for that. But at the same time, if it meant solving the case or having some kind of peace or closure, I would think after a certain period of time, be like, hey, we need all the ammo we can get on this. Maybe somebody can help. That's
yeah,
a really
and the last thing I'll say about it is it's also crazy to me that there's that one camera and all the other cameras didn't work, but that's okay because you're in downtown LA. There are so many cameras in people's apartments that can literally see the water tanks, the fire escape, the fact that no other building security camera caught anything. Like, I'm like, there has to be some weird thing going on in some way. Like, yes, she was bipolar. Yes, like, I'm all of that, but there has to be another element and even in the Netflix documentary, when they're like, oh, well, she was in a bad area of town. It's like, again, that wasn't really like totally the bad area. Like the tents are further.
And if they had any suspect or reason to believe it was, a homeless person on Skid Row or somebody on drugs, that would have been the first thing. Not, hey, is she seeing demons in an elevator, playing the elevator?
Yeah.
Like, why are we leading with that? And not the other thing. The other thing is more plausible. I will say, before we get too off topic, I do agree with you. I know it's kind of low hanging fruit, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I too, if I had to have any definitive answer, it would be to Elisa Lam's case. One, because it is just captivating in the most eerie way, the most haunting way, but also just again for the family's sake, like that's just hard. But correct me if I'm wrong, and I actually got two different answers on this in my research, and I was not able to spend enough time to figure this one out. Am I mistaken that the Black Dahlia was within distance of the Cecil Hotel as well?
So she was rumored to have been in the bar in the basement that night. And but they found her body in a ditch next to the last bookstore, which is ironic. That's the last place where Lisa Lam was seen. But apparently, yeah, she was found in a ditch there. So she wasn't found at the Cecil Hotel, and she wasn't staying there.
Yeah. Okay, because I've heard the urban legends of, oh, she was a guest and perhaps maybe even conducting some red light business there, or whatever. But again, you can make. I don't think that's as big of I think that's actually a much smaller jump. There is a very small thread there, which is still fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, it's just another murder tied to the building. Like, it's crazy.
And not even just like, it's one thing, because again, and this is not to speak morbid to the audience or anything, but like, there's crimes of passion, and there's murder, and there's horrific murders. And I mean, there's no such thing as a good murder, right? But like, these are so infamous and so, I hate to say it, iconic. Like they almost just don't even seem real, because they've been romanticized, Hollywoodized, put out there. And man,
do you know about the guy who jumped off to commit suicide, and then he landed on a pedestrian who also died? There was also a baby that a woman threw out of one of the top floors while her and her boyfriend were like in an argument, and the baby is still it lived, and he or she is still alive to this day. Like, it's crazy.
Well, at least some good came from this. Like,
that's true.
That is wild. I heard so I've gotten a few stories confused because there's a few things that happened in various places in New York that I've
Mm.
heard kind of urban legend that somehow get tied to the Cecil, but really you find out it's some very old hotel in New York or whatever, or the stories are very similar. Like I can't remember if it was LA and I can't remember if it was New York. If you know, let me know. Anyone in the comments, if you know, sound in the comments. But there was this really famous photo, and it's called the most beautiful. It's either the most beautiful death or the most beautiful suicide. I can't remember which one. But a woman, heartbroken, jumps off a very high place, and she lands on a car. And a photographer or a journalist or somebody who had a really nice camera for the day just happened to get this snapshot. Now the picture is 100% real. We know this, and it shows her, and she's imprinted into the car. She hit a car. She's imprinted into the car, and for just a moment, she looks so peaceful. I mean, she's wearing a beautiful evening gown. She's got pearls on, and she just for a split second, she just looks beautiful, like she's resting or sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And when I originally saw the photo, this was not to date myself here, but I saw it on Snopes back in the day, and it was associated to the Cecil. And I later, I guess, found out it wasn't the Cecil, but
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
again, yeah, it's again, I wish I had more time to do more research on these episodes, but I just can't remember if it's LA or if it was New York, but I digress.
Could have
Pete,
been the
how are we
Roosevelt.
doing on what's that?
Could have been the Roosevelt because there are a lot of spooky. But I feel like New York is more haunted, though. I don't know. We'll have to research that.
Road trip to New York. I'm down.
That's what I'm thinking.
As long we gotta at some point though, play like a Scooby Doo song or something. Just like really get in the.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's see. Again, we've kind of covered a lot of my questions just organically already, but what would you personally like to see the future for the Cecil? I mean, there are people who've been petitioning for it to be condemned for years. If anything, just to get rid of the bad juju. Other people don't see the value in it at all and think it should be a parking lot and everywhere else in between. What would you personally like to see the future of the Cecil be?
Well, I know back in 2017, when the new owners bought the building, they had hopes and dreams of making it into a luxury hotel. They wanted to change the roof into actually like a rooftop bar and pool, like so awkward. And
have it completely separated from the history, the lore, the vibes. Like that was their intention, was to just start from scratch.
Yeah, they were gonna
That's
gut
just
it
dumb.
from inside and out. I know.
That's dumb.
I know. But then when COVID happened, they were like, oh, F, what are we going to do with like marketing? And, like the Sam Main was a disaster and like the whole thing. So what they ended up doing was partnering with the Skid Row Housing Trust to where they didn't have to worry about advertising and they can just get, money coming in and out. And so I started calling them out on it. And then we got in a feud on like LA List or, something like that. Deadline or something. And like it's a for-profit organization, and my biggest dreams for the place is that organization has nothing to do with it anymore, because what they're actually doing, they're pretending like they're helping the homeless, but they haven't hired any more than one guard. It's now claimed by a gang. People are dying in there all the time. Like the screams are insane. I've seen someone jump off the roof from the office. The fact that like nothing happens, like clearly they don't care. They did the bare minimum to save themselves like $337 million to not have to like gut the place and redo the whole thing. So my dream is that like, okay, if it's going to be a homeless shelter or low income housing, do it right. Like people are actually leaving to go back on the streets because it's safer on the streets than the Cecil. I'm like, can somebody do something to like help these people, or can somebody like
It's
install
not
more
considered a
security.
historical site?
It was, and this company did it in order to get that Skid Row Housing Trust deal. It wasn't before they secured the deal. So it was all politics and red tape and money. And then at one point they're getting a lot of tourists and stuff after the Netflix documentary. So they painted over the iconic Cecil sign. And
Yes.
oh yeah, you know that. And now people like can't find it as much, and it's like white on white almost. It's like really hard to tell what it is.
Wasted opportunity on that is just like
It should be a
even
memorial, a historic
yes.
memorial. That's what I want to see it as. Like, it doesn't have to be like, oh, we're like going through and it's a scary place. Like, no, actually make it like a respectful museum, you know, like where people can get to know
Of
like what
historical
happened.
importance.
Yeah, but they don't want to lean into that. They want nothing to do with that.
They're missing an opportunity to
Mm-hmm. And now it's for sale.
they're sitting, and I don't mean this is gonna sound super contradictory. They're sitting on a gold mine, and I don't necessarily mean that in terms of just lucrative profit, although certainly they go hand in hand, but just tourists and curiosity seekers and architectural interest. I mean, that building is gorgeous. Truly, take all the spooky ooky out of it. The interiors are like a time capsule. There's so much there that you could go down if you didn't want to lean in completely into the spooky stuff. Maybe dedicate a small section of that, or maybe make a memorial. Like man, like if you could, would you well, you'd have to have a very talented CPA, but I mean, if you could, would you buy in? Would you try to? Yeah.
Listen, when you type my name in, well, at least this used to happen. When you type my name in, when you type Peet Montzingo into Maps or Google Maps, it goes to Hotel Cecil. Like, it says I am the Cecil. So to me, that was validation that like one day I need to change this place into like what it deserves. Like, I just feel like, why sweep things under the rug when you have an opportunity to help people, educate people, or help them
Yeah.
in some way? Like, I just don't understand why they wouldn't, you know, but money.
Yeah. And it's not to, and for me, I think it's a fine line, but it's a walkable line between not necessarily celebrating the negative, but like I said earlier, shining a light on something where it taking away that sting and giving it a warmer depth, or what's the word I'm looking for? Bringing out something positive from the negative. Like,
yes,
be that bridge that gap. And
that's what I'm trying to do
possible.
with my other content. Like, it's not like all it takes is creative, you know, thinking. Like, they could do everything that they want and help people if, you know, they wanted to.
They could literally have their cake and eat it too. And it's just like, no, I don't like that flavor or whatever. Like, it's so
yeah,
weird.
Literally.
It's so weird. I don't know if I told you this, and I know I didn't. That's a dumb thing to say, but we're talking about synchronicities. I don't pretend to imagine that you watched any of my videos before you agreed to do this episode with me. But fun fact, my last episode that aired about a month ago featured a very good friend of mine, and his name is Cecil.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Wait, I got one more. So I was at Ash Wednesday last year in Kentucky randomly, and I live in Los Angeles, but I was in Kentucky for like work stuff, and then I went to this Ash. What?
You gotta love Kentucky. I love Kentucky.
Exactly. So I was watching this service, and then at the end, the priest comes up to me, and he's like, "Are you Peet Montzingo?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "My name is Cecil," and he's like, "It's crazy that like you're here. Like, I just watched your videos and went down the rabbit hole all last week because someone, you know, correlated that together, and then, you know, there I went." And I'm like, it's just so random that like this random priest in Kentucky whose name is Cecil has seen my stuff last week, and is like, it's weird that a priest is even watching it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say that seems like a bigger leap than anything, but crazy.
anyway, synchronicity with Cecil stuff really is real. Like maybe I really feel like it is an energy thing. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I'd have to agree with you. My friend Cecil Trachtenberg from Good Bad Flicks. He's also a content creator on YouTube, but yeah. So that was unplanned between having the two of you kind of lined up so close, but it's just the way it shook out, and I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's so cool.
How are we doing on time, Pete? It's about 13 minutes past 9 Eastern Standard Time. Do you still have a few minutes? I know that you said that you might have to step out, and your background went completely black, by the way.
I
The
know.
sunset.
It's crazy.
The sunset,
I'm like trying to
big
lean
fella.
in.
Right, I do that too.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
my
I
green
definitely
screen
need
stayed
to.
up, everybody.
I definitely need to head out. But like, yeah, if you have any other like last questions or whatever.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, I have so many questions. But
Dang
okay,
it.
I know. No rush
Part
and
two?
no. But if you were up for a part two, I would love to pick your brain on just paranormal things in general. And um, this episode is obviously specifically about the Cecil, but man, I feel like we could really tap into some great conversation here down the road
Yeah.
if you're willing. Um, what other places, phenomena, other places around the world would you want to hit? Like, what if you're kind of sticking into this realm? What else strikes your fancy?
I really, really want to go to Antarctica. I want to prove or disprove the conspiracies of the wall, of
Oh,
penguins, of ice caps, of just like anything. And then when Mr. Beast was there, he didn't last that long, and he's like, I don't know if he's just doing it for show, but he's all like hush hush about it. And I'm like, oh God, I need to go. So I'm trying to like plan a trip.
100% not for show. You do. I don't know. Or he, Mr. Beast, if you're watching, and I know you're not, but I'm just in case somebody forwards this to you, like these people were talking smack about you. We're not. But I will say, it's probably like he paid all that money to say that he went, but the powers that be are probably like, no, we're not going to
Right.
let you. There's no way. But
Right.
well, you can tell people that you went, and we'll even give you this place to film. But like, you ain't seen the wall, you ain't seen a guard. The Admiral Byrd wasn't here. Like, just whatever. And
Yeah.
that still probably cost millions of dollars.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely have to hire a pilot and budget your time because the storms up there are crazy. But like, I've been starting to research it. I'm like, all right, how can I finesse my way in, So we'll see. But if it's not Antarctica, I definitely want to go to all the places that like no one knows, like not all the oversaturated places like in the US, like go to Peru and like go and, do something crazy. I don't know. I just like adventure.
Fair. Absolutely
Yeah.
fair. Well, Pete, I want to be respectful of your time. And, I think we covered most of my questions. I just cannot thank you enough for being here, for taking a chance on a small show like this. And this has been just a blast. And I hope that we can keep in communication and talk all things spooky. And I love keeping up with you and your content. I think who on the internet doesn't adore your mom, by the way, and your siblings and everybody else? Like, it's such a great thing, and I just appreciate so much that you don't ever put yourself in a box. You're just kind of out there, and I think that shows in your content. And again, I just cannot thank you enough for being here. Is there anything specifically that you would like to talk about or plug, kind of as we're on our way out? Again, we briefly talked about your book. Are there any other YouTube projects or just anything else? And not even to put you on the spot, but if there is anything, It's a great time to
Yeah.
engage with the audience.
So I definitely have my second book coming out called No One the Never Pretenders, which is also going to be an animated series that's rolling out as well. I also have a podcast that I'm doing, so I'm going to be like you, Ashley. And then I have a show I'm doing, which is kind of like hush hush. But basically, it looks like I'm going to be doing OnlyFans, and I'm not. It's just a marketing ploy, and hopefully it'll incentivize you guys to buy tickets and be curious enough to know what is happening, because it's going to be good. And then maybe a reality show coming, and what else? I think that's like the main
Peet
stuff.
the Renaissance, man. I think the shorter list would be, what are you not working on? What are you not doing?
Cut. It's called ADHD. That's what it's called. Oh, and music. Oh yeah. I was like, there's definitely one more. Yeah. So I'm releasing music now too, because I was in a boy band for 8 years. So now I'm like doing the solo artist thing. So yeah, it's gonna be a crazy year, and I'm excited.
Hey, I can't wait to cheer you on from the sidelines and continue to enjoy your great content. And again, love to have you like back on down the road. Hit me up if you ever want to collaborate on anything. I'm pretty open, and I think we could have so much fun.
Oh yeah, I'm dragging you to a location, so be prepared.
Fair. Okay. Well, guys, I'm Ashley. This is Home on the Strange. I like to thank you all for being here and joining us, and look forward to having you guys in on the next episode. Thank you for your patience as the show's been in and out of hiatus, but what a way to come back with a bang, with a bright, positive, fun episode like this with you, Peet. Just thank you so much. And to you, Peet, thank you for being here. And we will catch you all next time here on Home on the Strange.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Take care.
You too.